It started, like so many of our dumb teenage adventures did, with a few six-packs of cheap beer, a car with half a tank of gas, and the quiet boredom that blankets small-town kids growing up in the middle of nowhere. Back then, I lived in a tiny farm community buried in the northern plains. There wasn't much to do, just miles of dirt roads, crumbling barns, and more sky than any one place should hold. So we made our own fun. And for a couple of summers, our version of fun meant chasing ghosts, or at least stories about them. We'd gotten into the habit of researching old murders, disappearances, any strange, violent tale that had happened somewhere in the county. After sunset, we'd pile into someone's rusted pickup, armed with flashlights, beer, and teenage bravado, and drive out to find where it all went down. Half urban exploration, half ghost hunt, always fueled by the thrill that maybe, just maybe, we'd see something we shouldn't. It started as a joke. It didn't stay that way. One night, late summer, just after harvest season, we were out cruising gravel roads, searching for abandoned places when we spotted a grove of trees where no grove should be. If you've spent enough time out there, you learn to read the land. Tree groves usually mean something used to be there. A farmhouse maybe. A homestead long forgotten. We cut across a stubbled field, bouncing over dirt ruts, until the beams of our headlights landed on it. A two-story house, faded but intact, standing alone in the middle of a field like it had been dropped there and left to die. There were padlocks on the doors, but nothing heavy. They came off with a pry bar and a little too much confidence. 6 of us stepped into the kitchen. And right away we knew something wasn't right. Not in a dramatic horror movie way. There were no bloodstains, no bones in the corner. No, what got us was how normal it was. The kitchen table was set. Not dusty, not broken, just set like someone had walked away in the middle of dinner prep. Plates, forks, napkins, all there. All perfectly arranged, and completely untouched by time. We'd been in dozens of these places. They were always empty, looted, decayed. But this one looked like it had paused, not collapsed. The fridge reeked. Someone opened it and gagged, a rotten stew of old meat and expired milk. But it had once been full. The cupboards were stocked with canned beans, pasta, cereal. All untouched, all sealed. Mail still sat on the counter, yellowed and curled, postmarked June 1979. I remember the exact date because someone pointed it out like it meant something. The living room had a copy of a TV guide on the armchair. The cover was this awful illustration of a UFO beaming down over some poor cartoon farmer. And the photos were still on the walls. A family of 4. Dad with thick glasses, mom with a perm. A boy, maybe 8, and a girl a little older. Frozen in their late 70s smiles. Not a picture or frame had been taken down. The closets were still full. Shoes lined up neatly by the door. No dust-covered moving boxes. No signs of packing. Whoever had lived here hadn't moved out. They had disappeared. Locked the door one day and never came back. We split up to explore upstairs. 3 rooms. We paired off and took one each. The room my friend Evan and I checked was a boy's room. Sports posters, a little toy chest, bunk beds. Normal. But before we could look around too much, a scream ripped through the house. Not a scared shout. A scream. Full-on, blood-draining, throat-tearing panic. We all crashed into the hallway at once, stumbling and yelling, flashlights swinging like swords in the dark. The 2 who had screamed, Rachel and Dylan, were pale, wide-eyed, breathing hard. Dylan just kept saying, "You have to see it. You have to see it." So we followed. The door creaked open, and from the threshold I could already tell something was wrong. The air was heavier here. Colder. The bed was centered against the far wall, tucked in like a display. And propped up on pillows, blanket drawn to the waist, arms placed gently across its lap, was a doll. But not just any doll. It was life-sized. Porcelain. Human-shaped. Dressed in a pale blue nightgown. Its skin was paper white, cracked in places. Jet black hair fell across its shoulders, and worst of all, its head was turned. Turned just slightly. Just enough. So that the second you stepped into the room it looked you dead in the eyes. We froze. No one moved. The flashlight beams made her eyes glint, 2 cold marbles gleaming in the dark. It looked less like a toy and more like a person pretending to be a doll. Or maybe the other way around. There was something aware in that face. Something waiting. And that's what made us run. Not the scream. Not the house. Not the fact that everything was frozen in time. It was the realization that someone, before leaving this place forever, had set her up. They hadn't packed the food, or taken family photos. They hadn't cleaned out the rooms or even left a note. But they had made sure this doll was placed perfectly, facing the door, staring at whoever came in next. It was deliberate, intentional. A message we didn't understand but felt in our bones. Later we tried to find out more. The names on the mailboxes led nowhere. No obituaries, no accidents, no tragedies in the papers. No surviving relatives. The property had been taken over by the county for unpaid taxes, explaining the locks, but not the house. Not what we saw, and definitely not that doll. We never went back. Not because we were scared of what was in the house, but because deep down we all believed it was still watching us.